Hello and welcome back. This is part 3 of our multi-part series on time-aware modeling. So we took release 1 of our project and we set it up so that we could do release 2, and we exported the deferred requirements and the architecture building blocks so that we could import them into our new project we're calling release 2. And in this session, what we're going to be doing is cloning our package structures for requirements and starting our solution package by cloning the architecture building blocks. So we just set up the project, but we have a lot more to talk about. So as stated a moment ago, we set up our package, our scope, our architecture building blocks. These are the assets that we're going to be reusing within the project. And we set up a namespace or package for our solution building blocks for solution approach. But is that really time-aware modeling as we're going to focus on in this session? Not really. We noticed that we brought in all of the timestamps. We're certainly able to look at various elements and use in Sparx 17 this new feature where you can look at, well, what has taken place in this session? So we built a main cover page, we added some navigation cells, and we're set now to look like this. This is time-aware modeling. This keeps us by time what we're doing. And what we can do here is we can right-click here and we can save this one because it is a significant change and give it anything you want. All right, name it anything that you want. All right, as long as we spell it right, and I'm a creative speller, right? And there we go. Now it is a saved snapshot, and I am going to create a baseline of this snapshot. Now I'm going to do both and watch what happens. In here, yes, I want to do that, and then initial start. And again, you can put any notes that you want. We're going to hit OK. All right, so now I have just the image. And now I have the image itself as well as the baseline. So I'm able to do compares as we progress. And if we've got time, we'll show that. So while timelines are very important, that's still not the most important part of time-aware modeling. What we're going to do is go to Scope. We're going to open up the deferred scope. I'm going to right-click here and close everything except the deferred scope so we can focus only on this diagram. And what we're going to do is clone this package. So this is deferred to R2. And we're going to right-click on this and you'll notice Clone Structure as New Version. All right, and it is going to be version 2. Make sure you set your version number. And we're going to call this Project Rex R2 and hit OK. All right. And we're going to put it in this scope under this package, not this package, hit OK. All right. And what it just did was it created our Project Rex for these requirements. Now you'll notice the namespace is turned on. So it's saying, all of these elements are from this diagram. Now, the confusing thing that folks mess up on, I should say, is it doesn't rename the diagram. It cloned the structure of this, including the diagram name, right? So all I do in this particular case is come over here, double click in here, and name the diagram the same as the package, all right? Now, if you were to create the package, and we'll do that for architecture, and then clone the diagram, if you go to diagram and right click, you don't see clone. But if we go, and we'll do this again, don't panic. We go to design, diagram, manage. Here we have clone as new version. You can clone the diagram as new versions as often as you want. You'll see that on a moment in requirements. But we did it this way. It's just faster for me, all right? So what I want to do to show the namespaces is just going to move this down a little bit. I'm going to go to layout, and then I'm going to space these equally down so that I can see the namespace that each one of these elements are in for this new version 2 requirement. Let's go ahead and save. There we go. Now, what we want to do is version the elements that we're focused on, right? These are all still, remember, 0, 1. Now, the deferred requirements were all of these, but the ones that we are going to be focused on and changing are 33 and 34. Let's just choose these two, right? So we cloned the structure, package structure. Now we're going to clone elements. So watch what happens. I'm going to right click on here and it says clone element as new version. And it is going to be version 02. It knows that it's 01, so it increments and 02. Now watch what happens. It's the namespace just went off. Why? Well, let's select it, hit Alt-G to find it in the browser. And here it is now in this namespace, version 2. In the deferred, requirement 33 is still here, but as version 1 with all of its content. Now it's here in version 02 with all of its content cloned. So we just cloned an element. Let's do the same thing on 34. Right click, we could clone element as new, 02, accept it. You can certainly change it. And now we have both the 33 and 34 cloned in our new cloned package structure with our requirement. All right. All right. We have our scope ready to go. Let's go ahead and minimize this. Let's go to our architecture building blocks next. And what we're going to do here, we'll go ahead and open it up. Let's focus on just this one that's right here. Let's right click on here, close everything except this. It's going to see, hey, you didn't save this, so save it. Thank you very much, Sparx. And here we go. We're in our architecture building blocks. And what we're going to do is clone this particular package. So what we're going to do is we're going to right click on building blocks. We're going to go down to clone structure again as new. And this is, we're going to accept 02. We're going to change this to solution building blocks, hit OK. And we're going to go down to SBBs and we want to put it in this blank folder. We're going to hit OK. And now this has been cloned down here. Here we go. So here we go. Just the diagrams, not the elements. Here's the elements in the building architecture building blocks. Probably should name this architecture building blocks, but we named this one solution building blocks. All right. And this is going to be our cover page. All right. So now when we open this up, we have some building blocks that are set, ready for us to start solutioning in release 2 under a new version. Now, just as before, the diagram is named building blocks. It cloned the structure, but not the diagram. So we're going to hit function key 2, and we're going to simply, or you could copy the package name, solution building blocks, or call it anything you want. And then I want to do the same here, solution building blocks with tags on it, right? So now I have both of these down here ready for me to reuse and to start versioning. Let's now clone a diagram. So we're going to choose solution building blocks. And if you right click on it, we don't have the clone option. If you go to the design tab, the diagram panel, manage, you have clone as new version. So this is how you can clone a diagram. So what we're going to do is we're going to clone this diagram. We're going to leave the version because we're going to change the name, right? So here we go. We're going to put it in the same folder. Here we go. And now I have 2 diagrams that are called the same thing. However, in this one, probably doesn't matter because it's a clone. I'm going to change this to presentation, SBBs, right? And then this allows me now to reuse these elements. I'm able to select all of them and move them to an appearance of custom draw or whatever I want to do. I have this cloned where I can reuse this, right? Or I could change the entire diagram type by going design, options, change type, and then go down and find custom. All right. But I'm not going to do that in this case, right? Now these are all custom elements for presentation mode. And now this is separate from the original. This one, if I open up here, is the original one. And we're going to have this one as presentation, and I can slide it to the end if I want. Make sure I save it. And we're going to come back to this later because we can do some fancy things in this release. But that's how quick and easy it is to clone package structures, to clone elements, and even to clone diagrams. Now this is where I go back in the steps that we're taking here, and I baseline my packages. So I can baseline scope either at the package level or the entire scope. We're going to hit Control, Alt, and B to bring this up, and we're going to create a new baseline, right? So a new baseline, 01, because we haven't baselined yet. Leave the date and time in there, and now this is baseline close. Let's go to the deferred requirements, Control, Alt, and B. I have a baseline here. I want a new baseline. This one's going to be what? 02, because I have a 01 in here. We're going to leave the date and time, right? So I like to do that. We're going to do we need to do the same thing on the architecture building blocks? We already have a baseline. We didn't make any changes, significant changes, so I don't need a baseline. I'm going to close. I could just double check. Well, did we make any changes? Did we add anything in here? And you can see, no, we didn't really. We just changed the diagram to solution building blocks for the baseline, and otherwise the diagram are still named correctly. The change we made was down here, right? That's the only thing we did. So now no significant changes. And then for solution building blocks, Control, Alt, and B, there's no baseline. I'm going to put this at 01, the whole package, 01, and there we go. Now we have a baseline. That way, when we're starting to work between requirements, scope, and the building blocks that we're bringing in, maybe from our company asset repository, application asset, microservices, APIs, we'll be able to see, well, when did we do that, right? Time aware, when did we do that? From a baseline perspective. However, with timelines, I'm able to go in. Let's look at this package right here, go to timelines right here. And you can see right here, show, here's what it looked like at this point. Here's what it looked like at this point. And you can see minor differences between these. This is custom draw, and this is the standard, right? So we made these changes. We didn't add any more objects. We didn't add any more context. So we're able to do that. So what I want to do on this one, because I don't care about the custom draw one, I'll go ahead and go to this original one here. And let's show it. There it is. I want to save to snapshots, right? And then this is initial SBBs, right? Put as much as you want in here. We're just going to do that, right? There we go. And then come over here. And then I can, if I want to, this is optional, I can create an image snapshot of this snapshot, a baseline just of this snapshot, or both, right? I like to do both, don't need to because I already have an image. We're going to do both. So I create this and then initial SBB start, right? That way later on, I'll be able to understand the time that I did something and the time that I made changes, right? And I'd be able to compare and see those. So we're back over on our requirements diagram for version 2. This is version 02, and these are still from the deferred and the original version number. And you can see by the namespaces. But what we're going to do is we're going to go to layout. We're going to go to filter right here. And we're going to go all the way down here and choose version, right? And then in here, we can put in what we want a version. So if we put a 1 in here, you can see we have filtered the version 1. They're actually 01, but they have 1 in that, in the version number. If we want to look at 2, we just put in a 2, and now we have filtered out to see what has changed here. But let's clone, let's minimize this one. Let's clone requirements that have version 2 in it, right? So it has 2 requirements that are already in here, and we're going to clone this structure, right? So we're going to right click on here. We're going to go down to clone structure as new version. This is going to be 03. There we go. And we're going to put it in scope, but we're going to put it inside the project Rex R2, which represents version 2, all right? And again, you're using whatever structure that you want to. You cannot clone the selected structure to the same location, right? No problem. We're going to put it in scope. There we go. And here we go. Now we have another, looks just the same, but which one is version 2 and which one's version 3, right? So you open it, it looks the same as this one, right? Except the requirements are coming from the namespace. In this one, they're coming from the version 2 namespace. So it makes it pretty easy that, right? So in this particular case, we're just going to put version 3. So we're going to hit R2 V3. And to make it safe, we're going to edit this one, R2 V2, right? Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to, I don't have to do this. You can certainly leave it where it is. And then of course, deferred would be on the top. You can move these around, but I'm just trying to show the way that it's building the packages and the namespaces. Make sure you don't mix things up, properly labeling them and understanding the namespace that the elements are coming in. This one's very clear that these are coming from R2, all right? And so what we want to do in this one, this is R2, this one's R3. We want to double click, make this V3, right? Now the diagram is named V3. This one is in the V2 package, but the diagram is still not named V2 and could get confused, right? So again, you can name these packages at the beginning or you can come in later on. I'm just trying to show what happens when you use various labeling approaches for packages and diagram types as you're moving along, moving forward. So now that it's clear what diagram we're in V3 at this particular point. The team is currently approved and working on version 02 of one of these requirements. And let's pick 34, all right? And they're going to want to work on the next iteration of this requirement. So what we're going to do is we're going to right-click this element. We're in the V3 folder, and we're going to formally move this one, clone this one to the new version, right? And it is going to be 03. It increments for us because it's in this namespace, this package, it's coming from version 2. And then once we do that, it has now moved out of version 2. See, our filter is on 2. We're going to move this to 3 by simply changing this to a 3. And now it shows that in this iteration, we're in version 3 of this element within this version 3 diagrams. And if we right click in here and we reload the diagram, it'll make sure that your namespaces are cleared up. So now we're in the V3 diagram. Let's turn filtering off. Up here, filtering off. There we go. Now you can see what came in from deferred, could name it V1. You can see what's V2, V3, because we're in the V3 diagram, the namespace is not showing up, and what's deferred. All right. All right, we're going to conclude part 3 and also conclude this mini series on time-aware modeling. I hope it was helpful. Are you interested in time-aware modeling? It's very important that you maintain your start time all the way to your delivery time, and then you can carry forward into your next release and track your program, your implementation over any period of time. So thanks again for watching, and until the next episode, happy modeling.